Yo, tuned in, it's that time again. Welcome to the show under the bright zen. Just another messenger bringing the news with the beat in your soul. Let's light up these views. We're diving deep, no time for snooze. Grab your headphones, let me share the clues. In a world so loud, where voices collide, we find the rhythm, let the truth be our guide. Hit that play button, feel the vibe. Every second counts, let's take that ride. From stories untold to laughs we share. Just another messenger, we're always there. Hi. It's a jam, just sit back and unwind. With our flow and our style, it's one of a kind. Like the mix, just like a DJ spins. We serve you the truth where the journey begins. It's a jam, we're all in this together. Sound waves licking us, no matter the weather. Just another messenger, we keeping it tight. With every single drop, we rise and ignite. Yeah.
Good day. I'm your host, Tamara L., and welcome to another installation of Just Another Messenger, where we raise the situational urgency and consciousness regarding today's current events. We'll dive deep into the historical past by examining the philosophies, legal system, and political decisions that continues to influence our daily lives. So please join the conversation during the episode. Your comment matters. Hit the subscribe, share, and like button to be a part of more thought-provoking conversation in the future. You wouldn't want to miss it. And don't forget to visit our website at www.JustAnotherMessenger.com that connects you to all our social feeds, online merch store, and our link to support the work via CashApp at $JustAnotherMessenger. So let's get started. Let's get this party started and bring me up on the stage. Hello, good evening. Welcome to another installation of Just Another Messenger. I tell you, it's cold out there this evening. So you're going to see Tamara. I'm having one of those evenings. So you're going to see me in a little raw look today. Not so dressed up in one of our nice merch sweaters of Just Another Messenger. So welcome back, Kim folks. I am your natural host, Tamara L. And tonight on season, we're going straight into one of the greatest linguistic spells ever normalized in human culture. I mean, we're going to talk about these four little words repeated at weddings. It's printed in property deeds, and it's embedded in the very architect of Western law. Oh my God, it's a night tonight. And we're talking about these four little simple words: to have and to hold. Hold those words, because most people hear romance, they hear the wedding bells, but history hears estate transfer, law hears possessions and obligations, and the state hears jurisdiction. And not only that, the spiritual realm, it hears a vow that's been weaponized, ritualized, and misunderstood. It's misunderstood to this day. This isn't about fear, people. This is about clarity, because if words are spells, then to have and to hold is the master key, and you deserve to know who's holding what and who's actually being held. And allow me to take you into the hidden estate contract behind those words, how they bind love, land, lineage, and even your legal identity. So let's unlock this spell this evening and get into it, because a lot to discuss. All right. All right, let's get into this. The hidden estate contract behind to have and to hold. This is going to be a good one tonight. People are going to go ahead and bring that information back up on our stage, and so we can get into this. We have a lot to unpack tonight. All right, let's do this. All right, let's get in our disclaimer first. Just Another Messenger is a platform dedicated to public education, historical awareness, cultural critique, and transformative discussions under protection of Section 107 of U.S. Copyright Act of 1976, because this is their transmission as well. Commonly referred to fair use. Just Another Messenger does not provide statutory counseling for any United States color of law jurisdictional proceedings. Now, the content presented by Just Another Messenger may include excerpts of copyrighted material, such as images, audio, video, and written works, for the purpose of criticism, commentary, news reporting, education, scholarship, and research. All such usage is non commercial in nature and intended to stimulate public discourse, raise consciousness, and support transformative learning. We do not claim ownership over any third party copyrighted material used. All rights and credit belong to the original credit creators. Now, if you are the copyright holder of any material featured and have concerns regarding its use, please contact us directly via our email and we will broadcast that. All right. So, you know, this Just Another Messenger. Let me get back on here. I want to make this clear. Just Another Messenger is a podcast where you will need your pen and paper. This is not a feel good, make you laugh, talk about what's going on. The real crust of the matter is we need to be knowing what's going on in our own lives and get our own house in order, because there are forces out there that are they do not take a day off in making sure that we stay in the position that we're in. And unfortunately a lot of us don't understand that we are in a position of servitude. For those who are willing to do the work, get your pen and paper out and let's go ahead and get into this, because there is a lot to unpack here this evening. And in doing so, I was just reminded to don't forget to say, um, don't forget to subscribe, share, and join us over on our YouTube page at Just Another Messenger. Also, we're on X at JAM underscore 404 podcast, as well as if you or someone you know would like to be a part of the show in the Tuning 26 coming up, please send a nice friendly email to Just Another Messenger podcast at gmail.com. I would like to continue to always thank those that support Just Another Messenger throughout the year. And thank you for your continuous support. And you can do so by supporting us through CashApp at $ Just Another Messenger. All right. This party started. I hope that gave you time to get your pen and paper together. Let's look at this clause called hatendum and tabindum. Now, this is the have and the holds clause. Now, this to have and to hold is the phrase. It's a translation of the Latin habendum and tabindum. And to have is the Latin form of habendum, which is the relationship between the possessor of the land and how the land is to be had, received, enjoyed, and used, and the benefit. This is the estate portion of the clause of the spell, hatendum and nabindum. Now, to hold is landum for tabindum. Now, this deals with the relationship between the possessor, the jurisdiction, and his immediately crowned superior lord, the state, and how the land is to be held in the ongoing possession under a system of higher authority. Now, this deals with estate. We're going to show you how this deals with the bundle of the rights and not just the land, which means the right to use, the right to exclude, the right to transfer, and who's going to benefit. Now, as I said, when we're in Just Another Messenger, the key points regarding this segment tonight, we're going to deal with the spell itself in simple terms and how it's focused on the language of the spell, the consent of the spell, and the repetition of the spell. And we're going to show how this phrase appears in old property deeds and conveyance. We're going to pull up the Bureau of Land Management website to show you this, and how you're still dealing with to have and to hold even in the matrimonial vow ceremony, you deal with to have in the whole when you're purchasing the tenancy rights of a property. So this is a spell this is an old spell that still transfers today in America, but this wasn't America's original spell. It was to America. All right. So it also deals with how the way we casually talk about our spouses, like we say my wife, my husband. Now we're going to look at some terms, the most ancient terms of those words that deals with the matrimony, of how the words was transferred from my wife, which means my senet, senet, to my husband, which the most ancient word was my sin, which is sen. Write that down now, my people. All right. And then we promise that we're going to walk away with, at the end of this podcast, this is we're going to walk away. We're going to walk away with a very, very clear sense of the estate. What is the estate? The body, the rights, and the property. We're going to walk away with how marriage contracts mirror property contracts. And we're going to walk away with how the natural person and the legal estate get wrapped into this spell. All right, let's do this. Now, let's get into this spell. The spell binding that's over 3 estates. Let's get into this spell. The spell is called the word plus the consent plus the ceremony plus the witness equals the registration. Now, with all 5 aligned, when all these 5 elements align, it creates a binding force. Now, the original process of a binding force was called swayati. Now, this binding spell of all these different elements is the swayati is created when you have the word plus the consent plus the ceremony plus the witness plus the registration. It creates a binding force of to have and to hold, and this activates this framework across 3 levels of human existence. 3 levels. Let's get into those 3 levels, okay? Now, we're going to first get into the root of the binding force, which is the swayati. And its Sanskrit roots means like to press together, swell, or cause to increase, to embrace or enclose, to bind into a collective, to generate or hold communal force. Now, this is a make a lot of sense when you start connecting it with the church. Let's look at this. Now, in the swayati, it refers to an act of gathering or containing energy, especially in a social, such as a Masonic rituals, fraternities, sororities, a birthday celebration ritual, joining a church ritual, or any type of spiritual sense. Now, the primitive, which means first root behind it, is suggested fusion, swelling, or consolidation. And this just is not in the body, but it's in the will. Like it said, let thy will be done. It's in the will and the belief, what you believe in. All right. This is very important to understand what is taking place in this spell that is upon the people of the land. It's very important to understand this. And this is how it connects to the church. Now, we're going to look at the Greek word of that. And the Greek word is karakon, meaning belonging to the Lord. In Old English, circes. In Germanic, karika, a karajah. Now, this is the collective body bound by spiritual enclosures. This is why is This is why it's important to not connect yourself so much with so many different groups and things of that nature, because it places you in an energy force of collectiveness and you in everybody. That's why it is imparted that everyone are supposed to perform in likewise manner, because when you assemble together, you're creating a fusion called a swayati. Now the church is about the act of binding, swelling, enclosing, and gathering souls under a unified spiritual contract. That unified spiritual contract could be the contract of the Nicene Creed, um, which is called Christianity. It could be the contract. It could be the contract of Christendom. It could be the contract of Islam. It could be the contract of a Mormon, Jehovah Witness, 7 Day Adventist. These are what you call spiritual contracts. All right, those are called spiritual contracts. Now let's look into to have and to hold the binding spell over the three estates. Now, because when you look at this, it when you say to have and to hold in the old deeds, it's not just poetry. You're gonna look at it as it's instructions. It's going to be instructions. So let's look at these instructions to having the whole of the binding spell over the three estates. We're going to look at the body between the marriage and sex. We're going to look at the legal persona. The legal persona. And there's a difference between legal and lawful. Take notes of that. Take notes of those words. Do not look at the word, the definition of the word in a Webster's or anything. That you need to look these words up in more of an etymology online, and you need to go to the bottom where it say the PIE, the Proto-Indo-European root of the word. So look up the understanding of the lawful, between the definition between what's lawful and what's legal. So we're going to analyze the legal persona of the natural person in a state in law. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at the land. We're going to look at the property and the estate and how it all intertwines. We're going to get into that. Now, in law, you don't just have estate and land. You have an estate in yourself. Your labor, your time, your body become part of an economic calculus. In death, your estate is what's left to be administered. Property, contracts, obligations attached to your legal person, not your natural person, but your legal person. All right. Now, this information is so important. It's going to be so missed, and so many people are going to be so lost, because I know a lot of people want the feel good attention of wanting to know about what's going on in someone else's life, that you're going to miss the point that this information is being set up. It's being set up to keep us in a subjugated position. Yes, the difference between legal and land, etymology dictionary. Everyone should have one. Everyone should have etymology dictionary. Everyone. So let's look at the body. We're going to first start off with the body. We're going to start off with marriage. We're going to start off with sex, and we're going to start off with the physical estate. Now, marriage is a contract from land transfer to holy matrimony. We're going to expose how marriage vows parallel property conveyance. Now, this deals with the first estate is the living body. Now, it deals with flesh, reproduction, labor, sexuality, and physical presence. Now, marriage is a transfer of control over the body. It's a regulation of sexual access, and it's a way to legitimize heirs, which is the property inheritance. It's where it's a mechanism to claim a woman's reproductive power, the children, to determine how many children a woman should. In some countries, they control how many children a woman should have and can't have. So Marriage deals with that because it's dealing with the estate. To have is to access the physical estate, whereas to hold, when you're dealing with the body, to hold is the possession, exclusivity, and the jurisdiction over the body. Now, the ceremony sealed the physical body, the physical estate of the two people into a single sovereign framework under state authority, which means the body becomes governed by the land. Yes, the body becomes governed. It becomes a governed land. Yes, it does. It becomes a governed land. So let's look at the vow, the language as the property language. Let's look at that. To have and to hold from this day forward. It mirrors deed wording, and it's a symbolism of when someone see the rings, that indicates the visible token of a contract has taken place. The witnesses is like witnesses to a property conveyance. When parties must sit at a table, and there must be a witness to the transferring of properties of that estate, such as an attorney, and also you may have a broker there present. You may have the agent, the closing agent, the buyer's agent, or the seller's agent. So in a marriage, you also have witnesses that are there to witness the transfer or the merging of the two properties. Now, the officiant, which is normally the pastor, they're functioning almost like a register or agent of the state or the church. So when the officiants say, do you take this man or woman to have and to hold, they are not improvising. They are reading language that has been used to bind estates for centuries. Now, the love is yours. The love is always going to be yours. You're always going to have love for the person that's standing before you. But however, the record is the state of Georgia, the state of Florida, the state of this, the state of that, the state of that. And if you don't know the difference, you can confuse romance with registration. And you walk out thinking you just got married, when in reality, you entered into a third party contract between you, your new spouse, and the state of. 3 people got married that day. That's what happens with to have in the whole vow spell language. 3 people just got married. So the question is, who's having and holding who? That's the question. Who's having and holding who? Let's look at that. So let's look at the natural person versus the legal person. Now, this is high level now. This is not legal advice. We have to say this is for educational purpose only. All right, we're gonna say that this is for educational purpose only. Now, because when you hear, oh, my wife or my husband, do you mean your partnership or possessive? How much of that come from you, and how much came from the script you were just handed? So when you're looking at the natural person, you're looking at the living man or woman standing before one another. When you're talking about the natural person. Now, when you're talking about the legal person, you're talking about the legal persona, which is the recognized subject in the system. That is the name in all caps that's on the Social Security, that's on the birth certificate. That is the all caps name, the legal persona. Now, let's think about the movie The Wiz. And there was a scene in The Wiz when Michael Jackson was up on, he was a scarecrow. He was in his straw man phase, and he was hung high up on the pole. And he was in a dead state, and he had paper coming out his brain. He had paper brain. He had just paper stuffed all in him. It's just shredded up paper stuffed all in him. And one of the things that stick out the most regarding that song is the song say, "You can't win. You can't get out of the game. Things will remain the same in that status." When you're dealing with the legal persona, you're dealing with the legal fiction. You're dealing with your estate, and it's often attached to that legal persona. So people would carry around their legal persona and claim it as their own natural body. And that's where the violation will continue to occur. So the moment a marriage is registered, the state merges two legal persons, not two natural persons, two legal persons. They married their two estates, they two economic units into a single recognized legal organism. And I'm saying legal for a reason, because there's a difference. I say you must look up. There's a difference between legal and lawful. All right. Now, just recently, I heard on the news. Now, there's this thing coming up again about they're going to be going back and reviewing. Trump is going to be going back and reviewing everyone who's classified as undocumented at the time that they gave birth. Now, this is going to be real tricky. So we're talking about citizenship, birthright citizenship by the soil, which is just solely, JUS space SOLI, just solely. Now, last night it was stated that Trump's administration is going to go back through all the hospital records, all the what you call those records, archive records through the state, and they're going to go back and look at everyone who was born in Americas via just solely, which means that their parent was undocumented. And once that is determined that that person was born to an undocumented person, natural person, that person their citizenship status will be stripped. Their birthright citizenship will be stripped. So that's going to be interesting to see, because if we're going to be eliminating just solely by the soil, there's going to be a lot of people being disqualified, because they're failing to look at all of the millions of Slavics that came over. So a lot of them did not come by way of patriation through their king. A lot of them came over through refugee status, through just illegal as well. So that's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out coming up. The drive to eliminate just solely. Now, there's another status called just sanguineous by the blood. Sanguine by the blood. Now, indentured servants, absolutely. Indentured servants. So, and that's important. That's important to see, because there's a lot of people that came over by way of being indentured servants. All right. My sin. And when they came over by indentured servants, it did not automatically grant them, even their descendants, it should not have automatically grant them as well birthright citizenship into the United States. But here's the thing. There's two classifications that's going on here. We're talking about just solely by the soil, and we're talking about just sanguineous by the blood. Now, if we're dealing with just sanguineous, that is a return to the republic. if we're talking about citizenship of just sanguineness, because there's not a citizenship of just sanguineness for a corporation. That can't occur. That's impossible to have citizenship by just sanguineness when you're talking about a corporate, legal corporate fiction, which is what U.S of America is a legal corporate fiction. So if we're talking about Joe Sanguinis only, we're talking about America, and that means that everyone must go that's not of the blood of America. All right. So let's look at that. So the legal persona of the natural person in state and law, the legal persona is not the body. The state doesn't marry your spirit. It doesn't marry your soul. It marries your name, your tax status. It marries your insurance identity. It marries your estate. It marries the contracts and obligations of compellment. It marries future property. It marries custodial authority over children. Yes. So when there's child support issues and there's issues pertaining to someone is in need of assistance of their assistance to care for a child, and the biological parent has neglected the duties of their own natural child, because of the Parentage Act and being in a corporate environment, that person is going to sign up through the natural person for the state to take care of its child, its guardian child, through the natural person. So that's how they have the right to adjudicate what they are going to do with that child. They're talking about the name of the child, but not the body of the child. And that's the part that's mostly is not challenged when you're talking about the natural part of the child. So a marriage creates a fiscal entity. All right. So it's an estate contract disguised as romance. All right. It's an estate contract disguised as romance. Now, that's what this is. So you're talking about um when you think of your life as an estate, right? When you think of your life as an estate, you think of your body, your labor, your time, your credit, your name, your energy. So when you marry under the spell to having to hold, you're not just saying I love you. You're rearranging the ownership, the access, and the control of that estate. But to whom? To have speaks to benefits, to hold speaks to control. Who is in control of that? And if you don't consciously define what that means, the system will define it for you. Now, I'm going to come back on air and talk about that, how the system will define that for you, because I too participated in that spell at a very young age, to having to hold. Um, at the age of 24, I entered in that to having to hold marital contract spell. So about 10 years later, when I was going through my divorce, um, I didn't realize that until I started studying and understanding the law aspects of it years later after my divorce. I would say about 7 years after my divorce, I started coming into the understanding of language and law. And then it clicked on me how, during my divorce proceeding, this judge was able to sit in front of me and adjudicate my entire life work, everything you work hard for, everything that try to build, that they're able to sit there and tell you what you are going to do with the dissolution of the estate. I was not able to understand that then, But now I understand when you get into the understanding of language and law and the spell that we are into by consent. Remember, I told you this spell is by consent, even though it's consent of omission, because you're not in conscious understanding of the spell that you are indoctrinated to recite. You are not at the understanding what a license is and how the license perform. So you go through the spell unknowingly, but when there's adjudication take place, you have to stand before the state and they tell you what to do with your estate. It all makes sense. It all makes sense. Is that saying not to love again? No, 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 no. That's not the message for this evening. As I said, this is the message for this evening. We talked about consciously define what it means. What does marriage consciously mean to you? We're going to get it because there is a way. There is a way of escape. Let's look at that. Let's look at so the spell merges legal entities. So when the vows are spoken, I do, that means I consent to my legal persona being merged into the marital estate. The state becomes the third party in the marriage contract. The couple can't dissolve the marriage on their own. No, you cannot. You cannot say, well, hey, I need to call my attorney. We need to sit down and look at the trust document that we drew up for one another, the prenuptial agreement of understanding. We need to look at that so there could be a dissolution of our properties and things of that nature. No, 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 because remember, you transferred that over to the state by way of a license. You gave them to permission to adjudicate on your behalf your estate. That's the to hold part of the spell, to have and the whole, attendum and addendum. Now, this is the ultimate sign of jurisdiction. Now, your legal estate becomes held under the state's authority. Your legal estate becomes held under the state's authority. So let's clarify this. We're going to clarify this. So practically, we're not saying not to marry. That's not the message here. It's not saying do not go into holy matrimony or union with someone that you're in love with. That's not the message. We're going to get into the understanding of that. All right. So the marital vow is the church binds the soul, the court binds the estate, the vow binds the body. So we're dealing with one ceremony, 3 contracts, and 1 spell. Now, let's look at on this on the esoteric level, Swayati. We are enclosing the many into one swelling body, whereas the church has taken the foundational essence of Swayati and created a enclosure that claims the body jurisdiction. So what is it saying, Tamara? What we're saying here is the modern church stands as a continuation of the ancient act of Swayati, but with hierarchical ownership, is taking your essence and replacing communal alignment. It's taking your sovereignty and your essence away. That's what's taking place there, people. Now, we're talking about the restoration of your sovereignty through a sacred union. There's a difference between a license and a sacred union. A sacred union is, imagine just rewriting the vow like just something like this. I choose to walk with you. I see the divine in you. And you give the name of the person that's standing before you. You don't need an officiant. This is not as property, not as a state, but as a sovereign being in mutual stewardship. This deals with no hidden contracts. All that need to be laid out and understood on each side of the table financially, what each one person is dealing with, jurisdiction wise, getting affairs and house in order through power of attorney, evoking how to handle one another's affairs, no estate manipulation, no involuntary merger, unbeknownst to the ones to the next. It's just pure truth and understanding how to operate through this paradigm. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a very, very beautiful thing. Now, let's look at this. Let's look at how the land, let's look at how the land, property, home, real estate, and title. Let's look at how this phrase in the land uh, is originated in land deals, not marriages. Now, this was the first. This was the first binding spell. It dealt with the land deeds. Now it deals with. We're going to talk about patents. We're going to get into the what took place with these patents. Now, in ancient property law, to have deals with the beneficial use of property, whereas to hold deals with the possession under the crown and state. Now, this still goes on today. So, and I'm gonna show you this. It went on then during the usurpation of the land against the natural indigenous people, and to have and to hold is still on every single deed, every closing, every title today. So this created a hierarchical chain of title. This dealt with the land, even with the land patents. The land patents created a habendum and addendum clause. And we're going to look at that. It deals with God. It transferred it from God, the divine sovereignty that's given this dominion. God has given you dominion. We're talking about Genesis 1:28. And it transferred it down to the crown, where someone said, I am the vicar of God. It went from the crown during the battle of the during the King James, and the battle of the separation of church and state. And what the king is called the Lord. The word Lord means keeper of the bread. So we're talking about it went from divinity to crown, the Pope, to kings, to the husband, to family. This is the land, the property, home, real estate, and title ownership of land. All right. Now, when placed into a wedding vow, it symbolically merges the estate of the man, the estate of the woman, and the future estate of the children. We're talking about children is in your womb, yet to have been transferred into this dimension, to having the whole take possession of the womb, the embryo, the children that have not even yet signed a contract with the maternal mother or father. That's how dangerous that spell is, my people. And it symbolically merges the land, home, wealth, property they would acquire, inheritance. Yeah. There's a movie I just found earlier. Yeah, there's a movie just found earlier. It's called The Knives. My concept and I, we found it earlier. It's called The Knives, and it's on I want to say Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's dealing with the addendum clause. So go check it out. And like I said, everything that's going on in this dimension, they're they have to put it somewhere. They put it in movies, they put it in books. They know you're not gonna read the books, so they're putting it in movies, and sometimes it may show up as cartoons. Just like I love this podcaster. Her name is Queen Janice. Queen Janice. I hope I'm saying her name right. If not, I'm sorry, sis. But she's out of Albany, Georgia. I think she lives here in Atlanta as well. And she has a YouTube page called Unpacked, and she's been banging on about these land patents for years. Right, I love her page. I love the work that she's doing. So she's been banging about, and one of the things that there's a movie just came out called Zootopia 2. And so, which means I tell you, they have to put all this stuff in movies. Now, I haven't went out and seen Utopia 2 yet, but I definitely want to go see it because this movie has grossed over $600 million. And it's talking about how our land patents are hidden. Our land is hidden underwater and things. So they have to put it out there. So this is to release the karmic debt from them. So I'm telling you, we're dealing with spells here. We're dealing with all these spells that's going on. So they have to release the karmic debt. So they have to tell you what took place. So you can't say, "Oh, I didn't know," because I know people don't listen to people like me that only have a little bit of viewers and all that. But let me tell you, I would tell you more of the truth than someone got 1 million viewers and getting pat on the back, because guess what? They being wind up like a robot being sent out there and tell you anything. So yeah, go check out Unpack with Janicia on YouTube. She's breaking down the information of land patent. Now, like I said, marriage also became a land management alliance where two families are merging property, wealth, consolidation, title transfer, estate. Marriage was the original real estate manager. And also, so when people say, "Oh, I own a home, I own a home," no, you think you own a home. You think you own a home. And I'm going to show you who all the players are involved in this, because we do not have access. We do not have what you call a allodial title. The title has even been usurped through what is called a patent. In the jurisdiction, the addendum and addendum clause give that jurisdiction, the Bureau of Land Management, to U.S. has jurisdiction over the land. And even when claiming, there's even going to be extra steps that has to be made, even when claiming the land patents back that your ancestors lay sitting there, and the descendants go back and reclaim the heirship of they're the descendants of that land. And so even when reclaiming that land, that land patent, there still must be another layer to get it off that patent, because that patent is still a form of jurisdiction where you have to get it back to what you call the status of droit. That's droit status. It has to it must go back to a sovereign status of droit. First in time, first in law. So you think you own a home. So we go out and purchase all these homes and real estates and flipping and things of that nature. But let me just show you who all the players are involved in this, the agents of the continuation of land usurpation. You have what you call the credit bureaus, like you have Equifax, TransUnion, Experience. You have SageStream, Innovus. They're the main players, but SageStream and Innovus, they're tied to Congress. They're the big boys, the ones you see in the front that say, "Oh, I got to clear up my credit." No, you should clear up SageStream and Innovus and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You clean those three up. Those are really the big dog whistle heads. The ones you see in the front, they're like just the market. They're the ones that you see this on the market floor. Equifax, TransUnion, Experience. You don't have to clean them up. Once you clean up, once TransUnion, once Innovus, Sage Stream and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau are cleared up with discrepancy because Equifax, TransUnion, Experience receive their information from the big dogs. All right. So, but they are one of those are the parties, the credit check cleanup. These are some of the agents to keep you into the thinking that you own land trick, right? Because you don't have a load of your title. So let's look at this. Another one that's a part of thinking you own land is title companies, the court of the courthouse, because they're the court of records and recording. They hold what you call the deeds, the patents, the records, to the jurisdiction of the common sharing of the land. So they are a part of that as well. Also, lenders. You have what you call brokers, and you have what you call the lenders. Now, the brokers and the lenders and the wholesale lenders, those are three different entities. They are part of this usurpation, continuation of land usurpation as well. Then you have the real estate agents. I know you just hold your license. I'm just selling property, but they are a part of the continuation of the land usurpation. And then you have the inspectors and the loan processors. And then you have what you call the closing. Now, the closing, everyone thinks is the attorneys and no, the closers is Wall Street. Wall Street securitization, all that fraud that take place. They're all part of the continuation of the land usurpation that goes on. So this process, this is a huge entire scheme to keep people away from the inheritance, because if we had access to our land, we wouldn't have to work. I'm telling you, there's so much richness in the land. We would not have to be working like we're working for someone else. It just wouldn't be so. We will be already rich. We're already rich, but we don't know it because we're too busy want to continue to vote for our own enslavement. All right. That's another subject. So once again, you think you own land? Who's owning that? Who's holding that? It's being held under the bank, which is called a mortgage. A dead mortgage is dead pledge. It's been held under the state through taxes, zoning, and eminent domain. So who has and who holds? Well, in this system, the state ultimately holds superior title, and you occupy a tenancy with conditions. Tara, what condition are you talking about here? Because this pattern continue to repeat itself. You own the house, but let's miss a few payments. Let's miss a few tax payments, and you'll find out who really holds it. You're gonna find out who really holds it. You own your marriage, but the minute it dissolves, the state steps in, divide the property, assign custody, and enforce support. So the state stands as a witness and an enforcer. That's how that works. That's how they work. So let's look at some reflection questions here. Let's look at some reflection questions because we're almost about to close this out. Where in your life have you agreed to have and to hold without understanding the estate you are offering up? We agree to it unconsciously, but now that you have been consciously awake to it, you're starting moving a little different. And the next question, who actually has you? Who actually holds you? Is it yourself, your partner, your God, or a system that you never consciously chose? Just here's another one. If you could just rewrite the vow for your life, your body, and your land, what would it sound like? Because we were taught that to have and to hold is romantic. But now you know it's structural. Now you know it binds the states. It reorganizes control. It tells the world who gets access to your body, your land, and your legal identity. Now, I'm not here to tell you never to say it. I'm here to challenge you. So don't ever say it unconsciously again. If you choose marriage, choose it with your eyes wide open. If you hold land, know the difference between title and true sovereignty. If you walk through life as a natural person in a system that sees you as an estate, at least be awake to the game. My God. So let to having the whole become your spell, your declaration of mutual stewardship, not ownership, of shared responsibility, not a silent surrender. No longer you're silent to it. Say, oh, I didn't know nothing about that. I didn't know nothing about that. You heard it on Just Another Messenger. And I'm pretty sure you heard it on others. Because that's what we are. I am just another messenger. Because once you understand the spell, you can decide whether to break it, rewrite it, or wield it in your own name. Yeah, that's your choice. So this is the bigger picture we're dealing with here. We're dealing with the bigger picture of indigenous sovereignty. This is a battle for indigenous sovereignty, continuation of foreign sovereignty, and financial sovereignty. Because banksters and gangsters are ruling, and foreigners are telling you what to do. And the indigenous is just partying and bullshit. Sorry, excuse my language. Not. Yeah. So we have fine print files coming soon. Very excited about that for the new year. It's a lot of work trying to get a lot of things pushed out. Share the information. Share it to someone. Share the information to someone you know. Share it to a random person. Just share it. Get the information out. I want to see these shares go up. I have a lot of people on Facebook just watch and look and listen. A quick like, a quick share. It doesn't cost you anything. Let's just get this information out. Let's break these spells, or either let's bind them to ourselves to use them for your good. What's used as evil, become the greatest alchemist and transmute it for your good. How about that? Until then, you can continue to support us, as I said, through our Etsy shop at JustAnotherMessenger.etsy.com. Holidays are coming up and approaching. I'm pretty sure you see some great things out there. Literature, educational literature, coffee mugs, canvas bags. We have not put out any of our t-shirt lines because the ones that we saw with the vendor, I didn't like the quality. So kind of moved on from that. All right. So yeah, check out our store at JustAnotherMessenger.etsy.com. Like I said, we go live every Wednesday. Tune in every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Just Another Messenger. We're not monetized on YouTube. And even though we don't have the numbers, and even when we receive the numbers, we're still not going to monetize through YouTube, because that is a way to cut your voice. Anytime you get up under someone monetization program, they get to tell you what you can and can't say. So we're not going to do that. We're going to stay in our ability to freely communicate. And then if they, even we go through quite a bit of shadow banding, delayed transmission. We always have to answer to the same question. This is our music, and we've purchased this music, we've procured this music, the same thing every week, so it slows down the transmission. So we're never going to monetize through YouTube platform. Continue to support the work we're doing, the alternative news outlet we're doing via our Cash App at $JustAnotherMessenger. As I said, shop our store to help us out as well, JustAnotherMessenger.etsy.com. We're going to start gearing up. We're going to start promoting we're going to be looking to do something different. We're going to be looking to do something called 100 messengers. So we're going to be looking to procure 100 messengers to be a part of the brand and building a platform as well through Just Another Messenger. So if you're someone you know would love to start being a part of the show, please send a nice friendly email to JustAnotherMessengerPodcast@gmail.com. I try to get back to you as much as I can, as fast as I can. I'll get back to you. Or, and then if I see you and I send you a text, please text back, because sometimes I'm not able to just sit on the phone and talk. All right. Thank you for tuning in. I bid you farewell. And next week, we're going to go into, let me see what we're going to go into next week. Next time, we're going to let's go into some other phrases, some contractual phrases in sickness and in health till death do us part, and how it functions as a timelines and terms inside the same contract. Let's go ahead and continue to get the understanding this so we can unravel this a little bit more. So until next time, stay tuned and have a wonderful week.
Yo, tuned in, it's that time again. Welcome to the show under the bright zen. Just another messenger bringing the news with the beat in your soul. Let's light up these views. We're diving deep, no time for snooze. Grab your headphones, let me share the clues. In a world so loud, where voices collide, we find the rhythm, let the truth be our guide. Hit that play button, feel the vibe. Every second counts, let's take that ride. From stories untold to laughs we share. Just another messenger, we're always there. Hi. It's a jam, just sit back and unwind. With our flow and our style, it's one of a kind. Like the mix, just like a DJ spins. We serve you the truth where the journey begins. It's a jam, we're all in this together. Sound waves linking us, no matter the weather. Just another messenger, we keeping it tight. With every single drop, we rise and ignite. Yeah.